to give participants an additional 5 minutes. We're gonna wait for everyone to come in, but feel free to say good morning in the chat. Let us know how your week is going. Today is going to be a really fun conversation. Okay, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. Okay, people are still coming in. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning. How are you, Anne?
I'm great. I'm great.
Thanks for having us and sending everything over
Of
and
course.
keeping our calendar organized. I'm still waiting to see where I can send you flan.
Okay.
Ah,
Okay.
I insist. I
Look,
insist.
we'll talk later.
Okay. Thank you, sweetie.
Yes. Good morning, Jennifer. Morning, Kata. Okay. All right. So as we're giving people a couple minutes to come in, hey Shanika. Yes. Um, as we're giving it like 2 more minutes for people to come in, super super excited about today's conversation because marketing, marketing is what we need in 2020. Just quickly, I want to make sure you guys received an email from our team regarding the Canvas account. We sent a tutorial because we know that some of you have been having issues logging in. So a literal step-by-step tutorial. So please let me know if you've received it. I'm waiting for at least a majority of you to formally log on before we start doing some fun stuff on the Canvas account. That is where you'll be able to sign up for check-in sessions with myself and two of our other members regarding your business. So you can get that one-on-one assistance. That is where we'll be having some group mentor sessions and some conversations, but I want to make sure that everyone is logged on. So please look out for that email. I believe you guys received the tutorial yesterday, but you've also received your login information, I believe 2 weeks ago. And so we just want to make sure that everyone is logged on so we could start having some other activities in addition to the fun that we have here via Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to, okay, I think we'll just let everybody else come in, but please say good morning to each other in the chat. We're not going to be able to see each other and I'm not going to be able to eat your samples just yet. So you may as well get to know each other in the chat. When you have a question, and we're going to have a Q&A session towards the end. If you want to get on camera, get on mic regarding your question, raise your hand. If you want to just ask the question in the chat, you can do that as well. But I'd love to see your faces. I'd love for us to interact. And I strongly suggest that you take advantage of this opportunity when we bring in a guest to ask them questions. Ask them questions about your business. This is an opportunity to get some free advice. You do not want to miss out on this chance to connect with someone that can give you meaningful support during this time. So let's do our best to connect today. Okay. All right. So let's get started. I wanted to do this fireside chat, this conversation with a marketing expert to discuss just different strategies for small businesses. And our team, we talked about it, and the first person that came to mind was Tasha. And so I thought this would be a really great opportunity to highlight local resources like Tasha's company and to get to know her and the work that she's done here in the community. So traditionally I give like a long intro, but I don't want to steal the thunder of the conversation because I want to hear your story. And so just, Tasha, I'd love for you to tell us who you are and, how you're rooted here in South Florida.
All right, great. So I am Tasha Cunningham. Thank you guys so much for having me today. I'm the managing partner of a firm called the Brand Advocates. We specialize in working with companies to get their brands out there, whether that's social media, website design, basically anything they need in the communications realm, we're there to provide that. I grew up in South Florida. I grew up in Coral Springs. I'm of Caribbean descent, so back and forth between here and the Caribbean, but I did go to school here, and all of my career has been here. I started working in the media at Channel 7. I've went to working with the Miami Herald, worked all over the place, and then decided to form an agency with my husband. So we've been doing this for about 20 years now, helping clients to achieve their marketing goals. And I'm very happy to be here today.
Amazing. So actually, I think, Tasha, we met in circles regarding SBA, if I recall.
Yes. It seems like 3 years ago.
And, I heard about the story about you creating one of your first companies and selling it and then creating the company that you have today. Yes. So I'm gonna use this moment to get some inside information. I'd love for you to share your entrepreneur startup experience.
Alrighty, so in 2014, my husband and I, when I got married in 2006. My husband already had a company, he's an attorney, and he was doing similar things that I was doing. And so we decided, okay, since we're married, we'll form a company and we'll work together. Some people say that's marital suicide, but we've survived. It's been 14 years. So in 2014, we sold that company to a private equity firm and decided, okay, we have a couple choices. We can keep working or we can go travel the world. I said, let's do a mix of both, and we can't just sit home all day long. So I was like, okay, let's do something. And that's when we started the Brand Advocates, was from that. And so the Brand Advocates has been around for about 5 years now. And so we've just been doing a mix of working with public entities, private entities, national companies, just, doing what we can to help people get their communications needs met.
And so why would you, after having the opportunity to create a successful company, sell it for a great price, which you didn't mention, have the option to retire, but still decide to come back and provide resources and support to small businesses? Why this path?
Because I think it's so needed. I've been there as a small business owner, when we started our company, it was, just my husband and myself and a couple of our, employees. And so I know how it is to be that small business that hasn't really, started yet, gained traction yet. And it's very important, I think, to reach back. Once you have achieved a certain level of success in whatever it is you're doing, I think it's very important to reach back and help those behind you and help them come up and be an example for others. And so entrepreneurship is in my blood. And so I thought, okay, this would be a great way for us to continue to help people. And it's really more about reaching back for me to make sure that, we pass along our knowledge to others.
So speaking of reaching back, 2020 has been, challenging for all F&B businesses. So from the startups who were just in the middle of becoming sustainable, right? They had gone past proof of concept. They were getting local clients, and then the shutdown happened. We've also had some startup companies come to us because they've lost their job in hospitality, and, food, F&B is where they are. And so they're starting businesses and they're trying to maneuver themselves. We've also had some, food trucks and restaurant owners also experiencing these challenges and trying to figure out a way to pivot during COVID. So I was hoping you could share with us some strategies that food and beverage businesses can take during this time to help them expand their portfolio. I like to say, a lot of people say pivot, but the truth is it's expansion.
Yeah.
I anticipate that when we walk into a new version of this normal, that we'll need to have more than one way of, distributing product. And so could you share with us some strategies that our businesses can utilize during this time?
Yep, absolutely. So I have a quick PowerPoint here just to take you through 10 strategies that I think would be good right now for F&B businesses. So I'll get started. Okay, so as Anna said, we are going through a very challenging time right now with F&B businesses. Just the whole restaurant and hospitality industry in general is obviously in a slump, but we're trying to be hopeful, but we're also trying to give and empower F&B businesses with things that they can do just to survive, have a 3-month outlook, 6-month outlook, 12-month outlook, and sort of take it one day at a time. So let's go through a couple of the ways that we can do that. Okay, so really the thing that we think is most important here is asking yourself 4 key questions. And you may have done this, you may not have done this yet, but it's really important to ask yourself, what is the current state of your business? So where are you in your operations? If you're a brick and mortar, have you closed down? If you're a food truck, can you still operate? Just basically assessing where you are currently in your business and making sure that you have clarity around that. Deciding how long you can survive with reduced operations. We know that a lot of restaurants now are saying, okay, well, we can't do indoor dining, but we can do outdoor dining and we can do takeout and delivery. So how long can you survive like that? And what is the loss to you for not being able to open your restaurant for indoor dining? Then ask yourself, can you form alliances and strategic partners with other F&B businesses? So one of the things that we learned in my business in public relations and marketing is all of the firms that do public relations, one of the first budgets to be cut is marketing and public relations by major corporations that are our clients and even small businesses that are our clients. So a couple of us decided, okay, how can we get together to go after major contracts and basically form strategic partnerships? So instead of being one PR firm going after a contract, we banded together to be 5 firms going after it. And so there may be opportunities like that for you to form these strategic alliances and see what you can do to create unique virtual experiences for customers. Then the last question is, what's the plan from moving your business to, let's say, a brick and mortar location, if you have one, whether it's a food truck or a storefront, to a virtual environment? Because that's really where I think we're going to be for the time being. I know people are coming out and doing outdoor dining and things like that, but the message really needs to be, about safety and what you're doing. And you'd be surprised how many restaurants out there are not even telling people, what they're doing for safety of their customers. Okay, and then just one quick another takeaway on this slide, make sure you have 60, 90, and 120 days out, a plan for each of those phases. So that's basically over 120 days. If you started today, how would your business transform from today to 120 days from now? And of course, take a deep breath and relax. Don't react to anything in crisis mode. That's never a good idea. Okay. And then, so the first thing, being able to communicate. In a crisis, communication is key. If you're open for takeout and delivery, let people know this is what you're doing. These are your specials, but make sure you weave in that safety message. My husband and I, we dine out a lot. We're trying to support local businesses, and we have gone to so many businesses and had to walk out because we don't see any social distancing. We're not seeing hand sanitizer. We're not seeing masks on the staff. So that's like the key message that I think every F&B business needs to be stressing right now is we're clean, we're safe. Here's a clean environment for you to entertain yourself, have food, and hang out. Okay. So another thing that we think that is very important that people need to be able to do is join a cause. So basically fueling the front line. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we're doing this for one of the clients. So Frontline Foods is a movement across the United States. Some of you guys may have heard about it. And what we're doing is one of our clients, Jackson Health, we have a lot of frontline workers working there in all of the different hospitals. We've been able to get people to buy meals from restaurants and be able to donate those meals to the frontline staff working at these different hospitals throughout Jackson Health System. So whether it's Frontline Foods or whatever you join, because with Frontline Foods, you can basically join and they pay you to go out and do, to go out and give the food out to the different organizations. Whether it's Frontline Foods or whatever it is you do, the important thing is to show that you are giving back. It's one thing to say, okay, here we're open, this is great. But at a certain point, you're going to want to create more buzz around what's happening with COVID and the situation that we're in. And one of the great ways to do that with your company is to be able to donate food to the front line. And we've had great success with this with Jackson. We've done all kinds of restaurants and helped them, paid them to bring food to the healthcare workers. Okay. All right, just some resources that in preparation for this, we wanted to just share with you guys a couple different research places that we've researched. So one of them is the Bartender Emergency Assistance Program. The link is there for that one. And of course, the Sobey Wine and Food Relief Fund is also there. And then an interesting site that we found was the COVID-19 tip jar, which basically allows a series of profile and linking tools that allows people to give money directly to service employees who are in the industry and hurting right now because of COVID. Okay. One of the things we recommend for all of our clients is, and this is the fourth thing, making sure that you're all over social media. There's so much great content out there, whether you do an online cooking class, whatever you end up doing, get on Instagram, get on Facebook Live and show people what you're doing. Show yourself in the mask, cooking the food with the gloves. Show yourself out there donating, just be very proactive about showing that you're out there and that you're still in business. Okay. And then another thing that we always recommend is most restaurants have tons of vendors that you use to keep your restaurant and your F&B business going. So we recommend partnering with those vendors. And here's a lot of the donations that we were able to do through Jackson with local restaurants and vendors. And it's a great way to be able to cross promote. So we really recommend partnering with your existing vendors to get the word out about what you guys are doing. Okay, go behind the scenes. So one of the things that has really worked for a lot of our clients is showing them in preparation for something. So let's say you're hosting a cooking class on IG, what's happening behind the scenes? Make sure people see what you're doing in preparation for serving them food, whatever your business entails. Make sure that you're letting people know what you're doing behind the scenes. It makes them feel safer. It makes them, it helps them to see that you're following all the protocols and that working with you and buying your product is safe. And so that's something that we think is very, very important. And you can always invite your customers to participate, which is great content. So if you're having a cooking class, you can do it like a social distance cooking class and invite some of your customers to participate, and always incorporate the guidelines that are currently in place for safety. Okay. Hosting a contest. So this is a contest that was actually done in 2014, but with Scooters Coffee. But it's basically where they ask people to upload a photo of themselves with the coffee, and then they were able to tag on social media and then win free coffee, as part of the contest. And so we think if you do this once a month, it generates great content, generates great buzz, and it can be something small like giving out a couple cups of coffee or whatever, products that you sell. Okay, and the eighth thing, spotlight your team, because none of us can get through COVID without spotlighting our employees and our partners. It's very important. And I think it's great for morale to be able to say, okay, these are what our employees are doing. Shout out to, the guy who does the cooking, shout out to our creative director, shout out to whoever's helping you in your mission to keep your business going. And then a couple interesting things that we found out about promoting gift cards. So here's 3 ways that you can, sign up so that so people can buy gift cards for your restaurants in advance. So a lot of what we're doing now is telling businesses, hey, and telling audiences and diners to say, okay, you may not want to come and eat at the restaurant now, but maybe 6 months from now or 3 months from now, and here we'll give you a discounted gift card so you can come back in, and then you check in with them, as the months go with your e-newsletter or however you are, communicating consistently with your customers. You can show them, okay, 3 months from now, these are our specials. This is what we're going to be doing. And so that we've had good success with these 3 programs for the restaurants that we were working with Jackson. And then, of course, offer incentives. Now we're in COVID. Nobody wants to, be offering things for free. But once in a while, if you offer incentives, even if it's 10% off coupon, anything that you can do to thank your loyal customers, exclusive sales, exclusive items that you can only get if you're a loyal customer, things like that really go a long way with helping people feel comfortable and safe to do business with your company. Okay. And with that, that's the 10 things that we recommend. And then if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to start taking questions.
All right, guys, can you either raise your hand or put your questions in the chat section? And of course, as usual, because I can, I'm going to go first. Okay, so you mentioned partnering with other small businesses. And, you know, here at Startup, we've seen that. We've seen small businesses that, you know, created relationships, networked with each other, actually provide opportunities for each other. And, you know, specifically with our incubator members, I've seen the difference financially in regards to businesses that, you know, work together, were referrals for each other, took on projects together versus the ones who try to do it all on their own. And
Right.
so, could you give us examples of a few companies that have been able to execute some of these partnership activities that were beneficial to them as a collective?
Yeah, I would say right now, for example, with Jackson Health, we have this Together We Are Jackson campaign. So we're bringing together all of these, you know, restaurants. So for example, we would have a, you know, a situation where they team together, 2 or 3 restaurants will team together and say, okay, we're going to bring lunch to 100 workers at, you know, frontline workers at Jackson Health. So they all team together. We do a press release. And normally they would consider themselves competition to each other, but for this, you know, specific thing, we are able to bring them all together. We did, you know, just you name almost every restaurant. We did Deli Lane. We've done, you know, a bunch of other ones. And, you know, we did Joe's Stone Crab. We did a huge thing with Joe's, and we were able to get a lot of media attention for them. So usually what we'll do is we'll do a press release. We'll get the media out when the delivery is being made. And it's really been beneficial to them because most of startups or small businesses don't have a PR team on staff that can, you know, shout it out from the rooftops that they're doing this and help them get placements. And so we were able to just bring all of those restaurants together. And part of what we say is, okay, if you're going to do a donation, we will do a press release. We will do social media posts. We will try to set you up on interviews to get the word out. So really it's beneficial to them because they're getting this built-in PR team for this specific activity that they would not have had. And, you know, had they not teamed together, they probably wouldn't have done these massive donations.
Have you seen some, you know, I guess you could say common mistakes specifically during this time? Like a lot of the companies, even before COVID, you know, we struggled with getting some companies to conform, to convert to the concept of social media platforms and marketing. What are some common mistakes that you've seen, you know, small F&B businesses make in this space?
I would say not coordinating their promotions. So we had a case where a restaurant, because they didn't have a social media person, nobody really thought about it. They did the donation, we got all this press, and they didn't put anything on their social media as it was happening. They put it on like after the fact, a couple days later. And it was like, okay, you could have generated so much buzz in the moment. So I think not taking advantage of social media for real time activities is one of the key mistakes that we've seen. I would say probably doing donations later in the day versus in the morning. And I'll tell you why that's important. So for media attention, if you're doing something in the morning, it's more likely for cameras to come out than if you're going to do a donation at 5 or 6 o'clock. The news is already on at 5 and they're not going to send somebody out to see your live donation if they're planning to air it at 5. If they're planning to air it at 11, you're great. But I think considering one of the mistakes we see is not having them consider the timing of the media when they're doing donations or any activity. If you want to get the media there, you have to work around their schedule. And that's one of the key mistakes we've seen as well. I think those would be the main two that we've seen over and over again. And so we try to help people with that to show them, okay, this is what you need to do if you're going to plan out one of these events.
Right. I've seen the common mistake for a lot of the small businesses that COVID forced them to transition into was, you know, taking that local experience that they have, because they have that local following of people loving them, loving their product, and giving that same synergy online. And so the tips about behind the scenes, doing live activities, I personally think that could be life-changing for a company. Have you seen, can you like share some stories about companies that actually took this advice and how it potentially changed the life cycle of their business?
Well, one of the things that we are doing with one of our clients, and I can't mention exactly who it is, but one of the things that we are going to do is we're going to do a concert in a hotel lobby. So we're doing a concert with an artist in a hotel lobby, and we are basically saying, okay, it's going to be socially distanced. It's only the artist in the room at the hotel. And then we bring in other partners and everyone can stream it online. So we're being forced to come up with more creative ideas of how to engage these audiences and keep people just excited and keep generating buzz. Because one of the things that we see a lot, going back to the mistakes, is these companies are so busy trying to survive that they're not spending enough time in promoting and keeping that buzz and keeping that excitement alive. So unique ideas like doing a concert in a hotel lobby and everyone social distance and stream it online, that's something we probably would never do. And bring in a restaurant to cater the food, bring in, different business vendors to do things that are, on the periphery of that. We would probably have never done something like that before, but we're now being forced to do things that are, I guess, out of the box and out of the norm for what, for what we are normally used to. And I think that's one of the key things that all businesses, wherever you are, need to get your head around the fact that things are not going to be as they normally were. And so you've got to dig deep to get these creative ideas of how you can keep things going. But to answer your question about a specific company, we are doing this with a municipality, a major hotel chain. And so you'll see it at some point in time. But, this for a specific business, I would say, I can't name a specific one, but I would say for the things that I know that are coming up, that at least we're doing with our clients, we're trying to involve major hotel chains, small restaurants, local artists in on that as well. So we're just trying to see who can we team together and incorporate to do an event and everybody get paid to do it.
Right. We actually had the city of Miramar on a month ago, and the goal was to figure out, okay, so what are the resources that you have here locally? What can small businesses utilize from the city to help with the specific business? And what came to mind when you were speaking was the concept of RFPs and possibly small businesses applying for RFPs for this exact type of opportunity. So I know that you already do work with cities. Have you seen local cities take on this type of initiative to hire local?
Yes, we definitely have. I just did a couple weeks ago another webinar called The Government is Still Buying. So interestingly, during this time, most municipalities are still out there trying to plan events, trying to get their citizens excited, trying to get the word out to keep these businesses alive, the smaller businesses alive. So they are putting money behind it. A lot of times what you'll see RFPs for would be for an event, and maybe they need a food truck, maybe they need a caterer. So I would say if you're interested in doing business with the government as an avenue, which I think it is a good avenue to go after, I always recommend a couple of different websites that you can go to, and it's not here in the PowerPoint, but I'm just going to go ahead and say them. To look for bids and RFPs that are happening throughout the state. There's BidPrime, BIDPRIME.com. There's another one called BidSync, BIDSYNC.com. And there you can basically get every RFP that's coming out in whatever states you select. So if you want to do business here in Florida, wherever you want to do business, and you want to do it with the government, that's going to show you who's hiring. The other thing I recommend if you want to do business with the government is you don't necessarily have to do it through an RFP. Most municipalities will say, okay, they'll set a threshold. So if your proposal is over $50,000, they'd have to RFP it. If it's under $50,000, you can submit to them a proposal unsolicited and say, okay, I want to do this for you. Here's all our businesses that came together, and we'd like to do this event, and they don't have to RFP it. They're allowed to work directly with you. to discuss your proposal and see if they want to do it. And it doesn't require all of the procedures you would have to go through for an RFP. So I do recommend, if you want to work with the government, doing, going to those sites and then submitting unsolicited proposals with creative ideas for things that will help that municipality. Whenever you're putting the proposal together, the important thing to remember is they're going to ask you, how is this going to help our city? And you need to be able to address that in your proposal.
I love that. That is something you guys need to get together in the chat about. Jennifer has a question. She says, I had to rebound my bakery after losing all of my wholesale accounts and events. I'm having a hard time gaining traction being retail and not wholesale. How can I get more business other than just Facebook ads and Instagram? She's in Broward.
Right. So, and I was actually, as I was speaking, thinking specifically of Broward for these RFPs. They're putting out so many RFPs now for different events, but they're doing it in a different way. So it may not be this in-person event of 100 people. It may just be 10 people. But I think the important thing now is to look for new sources and new audiences. So one of the things that I was recommending in another webinar the other day was looking at different social networks that are coming out. So there's a new social network called MeWe. It's MEWE. It's the Facebook alternative, where they don't sell your information. It's all about privacy. They have about 8 million people on that platform. So we suggest, going and looking for different avenues to expose your, the message for your business. Another one is called Stitch. It's a social network for people over the age of 50. They've got probably 10 million members now. So those are what I would recommend, is just looking for the new avenues of where you can get your message out that you haven't been before. And so, a lot of people rely on Facebook, rely on Instagram, but there's so many other social networks out there. And those are the two that are emerging to take on Facebook. And Stitch has always been around, and it's a good platform for that demographic if you're trying to reach people 50 and over. And then one thing I talked about the other day was social networks for people who are disabled. So there's an app called Be My Eyes that you can set up to, expose your messages to those people. And Be My Eyes helps people plan trips around their city. And it's national. So if you're in Miami and you may be disabled and you want to plan a trip, you can say, you can put your business out there and say, okay, if you're going to go to Fort Lauderdale, here we are. If you're going to go to Miami or Wynwood, my business is here. You might pass it, and you can push out messages to people on that platform as well.
Perfect. And Natalie's also asking that question for Dade County. And in every county, in every city, you guys have the opportunity to go to their website to see, directly. And I always advocate to start with your city. Start with the city that you live in, where your company is registered, and to see what RFPs and what other possible opportunities are available. Your city should be the very first, person that you go to, organization that you seek out to find support for your small business.
Right. And the other thing I would recommend too is every city has a small business development office within the city.
Yes, they do.
You can go directly to them, sign up. You can get different certifications, like there's DBE, SBE, MWE, women-owned business, veteran-owned business. And with those registrations, if you get those certifications, you're able to go after certain RFPs because you have that specific certification. So I would say get definitely certified with your small business office. Go to them. They have great matching events. I know in Miami-Dade County and Broward County, they have great matching events where they match small businesses with larger businesses to get work. So I would say definitely explore that for your city and your county.
Okay, guys, this is a great opportunity for you to ask questions about your company specifically, whether you are a smaller business or you are a larger organization. Just, specific questions about your own company. This would be your opportune time to ask questions before
I'm dying to hear what everyone does. Everyone on the call. I want to know what everyone does.
Okay, MS Web okay, oh wait, okay, I think questions are coming in. What should we allocate to marketing in this day and age in terms of a budget?
Okay, so I would say, that's a question. It depends on how much money you want to throw at it. You can, you can spend $100, you can spend $100,000. It just depends where your budget is and what you're trying to do. But I would think, what we recommend to clients is allocating a larger portion of your budget to online, social media, virtual. That's where a lot of your customers are going to come from now. So we always recommend, and especially in this time, to allocate more money in the marketing budget there, but also allocate marketing budgets to doing pre-meetings. So when we were talking about the going into the municipalities, remember that you can always pre-market to them. So if you know that a certain organization or department within the county or the city is having an event, or you have an idea, you can always gather these people together, do a pre-meeting, and a lot of your small business offices will help you do this and be able to market directly to the buyers who are going to be buying the services that you have. It's good to be able to just meet directly with them. Now, is there going to be a cost to that? There's cost with your time. You have to put marketing materials together. That's where I would focus, is online, and then meeting as many people virtually as you can to market your business, and preferably to buyers.
Okay. Katra wants to know, what would be the best way to organically increase followers and exposure on social media?
Yes, we get this question so much. And really, to be able to do this organically, it's going to take time, and it's going to take great content. So great content is, we have some people who only post pictures. They don't incorporate video. They don't incorporate, things that would really catch people's attention. And so what we say there is, make sure that your content is good. That's how you're going to attract the followers. Good content, and then also commenting and, liking and sharing other people's content is a great way to increase your followers as well. Maybe adding something to a discussion on social media, making a comment, getting yourself noticed. So those are the top ways that I would say you can do that.
Yeah. I would also add consistency, because if you
Brilliant.
post on a regular basis, like if you have a timeline for that, you'll see a following. And I am not to say that I am the marketing expert, but I will give a nerdy example. Back in the day, I know I look young, but it's not the case. Back in the day, when I was trying to figure out whether or not I would do a doctorate, and what the topic would be and what type of help I wanted to put out there, I started a blog. And I would have like a bunch of stories lined up, and it was just, self stories, advice, etc. And I actually used Twitter to, chime on topics to get attention to the blog. And man, oh man, I had like the Instagram situation, but, finding specific groups that are passionate about what you're passionate about. Like if you created your business based on your story, so I'm Haitian, I have an immigrant story. So I was able to chime in on those, first gen experiences, and attracted so many people just based on that narrative. Finding, your community, starting with that community first, people who can identify with your why. I found that to be literally the most successful approach to gaining followers and sustaining those followers, because they can relate to who you are and what's behind your infrastructure, and they want to support. Like there's so many community members that want to support local, they just don't know that you're there.
You're right, exactly. And the other thing, as you were speaking, and first of all, 30 is not old, but
we're gonna stick to 30. Okay, I'm not gonna go
we
into
said that years ago. We're saying we're all 30. So, but one of the things that we tell a lot of our clients a lot of the time is look at also associations that need your services. So for example, the National Meeting Planners. Okay, so that they're going to be eventually having to do meetings, do planning, and it's a great time to now, while we're in COVID, make sure that they know your business and make sure that they know that your business is out there. So sending an email, getting a article in their newsletter, just approaching them to see how can you partner with them to get the word out about your business. And going to these different organizations, I think, is a great way to, even if you just ask them, hey, what do you have coming up? This is what I do. How can I fit in to what your association has planned for the next year or the next 2 years out or whatever it is? And then they start working with you to help you out. And so national meeting planners is one. Realtors are always having events, closings, all kinds of things where food would be needed and F&B businesses can participate. So just getting creative with the audiences that you can expose your message to and getting new audiences, I think, is key. You may never have thought of going to the national meeting planners and finding out what they're up to, or going to the realtors or your local chapter of the National Realtor Association to find out what you can do. But these are the times that we're in. So we have to think really outside of the box to get the messages out.
What are your thoughts on local chambers?
I think the chamber is very good. That's a great way to start. We're members of chambers all around the state, and I think that's a great way to get your message out. What I find with the chambers and why I think they're good is because most of them have large memberships, and it's a very low cost of entry to be able to expose a message to them. So for example, at the Greater Miami Chamber, it's like $500 to sponsor a committee meeting. You can, if you're a member, they'll send out information about your company in their newsletter. There's all kinds of promotional opportunities, and even the Fort Lauderdale Chamber, same thing, we're members there. There's a lot of promotional opportunities that they offer for a very low cost of entry.
Yeah, I've seen certain businesses specifically gain more clients because of the community that they were able to connect with within a chamber, within a city. A lot of times these are other small businesses, and they have their own, I guess, unique village happening. And so that is a really great way for them to hire you for, basically, hey, I want to get your tea in our local store. I want to, get your product. We can put that on our menu. But the networking to me is 80%. 80%. Right. I know it's common to want to stay in the weeds because you want to keep the operations afloat. Right. But what can be life-changing for your business is meeting the right person, making that right connection, and having that local base support you is literally, in my personal opinion, the best first start. You can have, a gradual following, but to really get that opportunity to scale locally, they need to know you exist. And in order to do that is networking with these different organizations and chambers. Do you have any other organizations or national networking organizations that you would suggest?
Well, one thing I wanted to say about the chambers is a lot of the chambers now are having reduced rates to be a member. So for example, the city of Fort Lauderdale, that chamber, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber, it used to be like $500 to be a member. Now they've dropped that down to $99. So if you're going to go the chamber route, which I highly recommend, you will find that a lot of these chambers are really reducing their price of membership, during COVID. I would say, other organizations besides the realtors and the meeting planners, I think if you're looking for, just new audiences, period, I would pick a sector, the business sector. So there's tons of business organizations, that you can look up online, do a Google search, find these business organizations, see what fits with what you're trying to do, and go ahead and approach them. You really have nothing to lose in this time, because what you're really doing is you're getting the word out there, you're marketing your business, and most of the time something will come out of it. Even if you don't get a contract, you may get a contact, and that contact is going to lead you to a contract. So it just depends how you're going to utilize that network. But I would, find what your niche is and work with organizations around that particular niche. So, like we have hotel associations. Hotels are going to still need to have food. They're still going to need to have, you know, what F&B businesses offer. So get with your local hotel association, and almost every county, almost every city has a hotel association. And so right there you can see, okay, how can I fit into this? Do you need my desserts for, you know, on your menu? Do you need on your takeout menu? What do you need? And so just getting involved with those organizations really helps. Convention and visitor bureaus throughout the state, and you don't have to just limit yourself to, you know, Miami-Dade and Broward County. If you can deliver or overnight your stuff, you can, then the whole entire state opens up, the whole country opens up to you if you have the ability to do that. So I would definitely get with the convention bureaus, see what they do. They have a lot of partnering and hospitality programs, most of them. So it'd be good to explore that as an avenue for new audiences as well.
Awesome. All right, guys. Any other questions regarding your business specifically? You know, advice for what you are currently going through in regards to your company? You can raise your hand. We have like 10 minutes left. You raise your hand or, you know, put your question in the chat section for sure. I will give you another 10 minutes, hopefully, to take advantage of this moment. That is a free moment. Okay, I see a raised hand. Natalie, I'm going to unmute you. Let's see. Okay, I'm having a hard time unmuting you. Can the team help me?
Got it.
There you are.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi, thank you,
How
Tasha.
are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let me ask you something. I've gone through all the permits and everything regarding the setting up of my business. I am mass flan. I sell flan in 3 different flavors.
Okay.
Do you have any guidelines as per to entering more the supermarkets, like small chains and more of like the local stores?
Well, I think if it's not a chain store, you know, we always tell clients to just go directly to the management of that store. So if it's not a Whole Foods or a Milam's or a Publix, go directly to the management of that store. And you can do that either in person, socially distanced with your mask on, or you can send them an email, you can send them your promotional packet. But usually if it's just a regular small business, it's not a chain, and you don't have to go through this massive process to get even to talk to someone, the best way to do it is to just contact them directly, but make sure you have your marketing materials, you know, ready to go. And what is your ask? Make sure that you have a very succinct ask. So if it's a local, you know, grocery store, you need to be able to go in there and say, okay, here's the flan, here's what I do. I'd like to be able to have my product in your store. What do I need to do to be able to do that?
Okay.
And find out what their procedures are. So, you know, a lot of times people will go in and say, okay, this is what I want to do, but you have to be very succinct. People don't have time to, you know, really beat around the bush. So go in there with your specific ask and then see what you can do from there.
Right. To add to that, Natalie, most grocery store chains are going to want to see a sales sheet. And that sales sheet is going to incorporate your, you know, your nutritional facts, the label that you put on your flan, your, you know, what your prices are. And that is basically the negotiating piece of the conversation. A lot of the smaller chains, and I believe Milam's you can't actually go up to a manager to try to make that happen. They're a chain, but they're small enough, right?
Small enough, yeah.
So I would strongly suggest working on, you know, your sales sheet. And this is where you would hire a marketing person to help you with the layout of that. In addition to, you know, making sure that your nutritional facts are accurate and that, you know, your margins for sale is also beneficial to you, and that you're not undercutting yourself as it relates to getting your product on the shelf. And so a small grocery store or a very small chain would be a great way to practice having that moment. You know, although things are a little bit slower, because usually the benefit of being in a grocery store is having the opportunity to be in the store promoting your product. And so due to
Yeah.
COVID, a lot of our small businesses are not able to do what they traditionally do, which is to be in the store promoting their product. But it's still, I think, a great time for you to start that process of making sure that your packaging is right, that your shelf life is confirmed, and that you have your nutritional facts ready to go.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. Okay, this is the last call for questions. Okay, I'm 5 minutes for the last call for questions, but Tasha, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing these tips and your advice to help our small F&B businesses. I know that you are also involved in the restaurant organization. I believe it's the F&B Restaurant and Hotel
Lodging.
Association. Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Another great resource too, by the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely want to bring you back on and also see if we can also get that association on to discuss what their resources are as well. Okay, so I can't believe you guys are going to walk away without Tasha's advice for your company.
Well, let me give you guys also my email address. If anyone has any questions, you can always feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help anyone who is working with Anna. So my email address is, well, I guess I should probably type it. Can I type it here?
And we're going to share this video inside of our Canvas account. We'll share your PowerPoint with them as well regarding your tips. And you're also, for those of you who are, a part of our actual online membership program, you guys are going to have your private class with Tasha, I believe next week or the week after.
Yes.
I'm losing track of my days. I'm losing track of my days.
I'm looking forward to it. And I just typed my email address into the chat for anyone who has any questions or just need encouragement, whatever you need, there's my email.
Perfect. Tasha's company is a great resource for your business when you guys are ready to make that transition to assist your business with getting local contracts, with doing these partnerships that she described. When you feel like you're ready, this is a great local resource for you and your F&B business. She has worked with so many small businesses, medium businesses in the food and beverage space, and this would be a great opportunity for your company. So we will share Tasha's contact. She's share her email address with you, but we'll share her full contact information with you. And for those of you that are actually a part of the membership program, you'll have your small group session with her next week during class. All right. Okay, this is the last call. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. And we will see you all next week.
Great. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Thank you.